Welcome to Voice of the Vatican, our top stories. A busy 2017. We'll take a look at Pope Francis' travel schedule and see what the new year has in store for the pontiff. Let peace reign. A peaceful new year is ushered in Aleppo, Syria, with an ecumenical prayer service. The truth about sexuality. Researchers respond to the question of whether sexual orientation is a predetermined disposition. And many congratulations to a sister awarded the French Presidential Legion of Honor for her 48 years of ministry serving lepers in Madagascar. The meaning of pilgrimage. We'll speak to author and church historian Jim Papandrea about why a pilgrimage to Rome can be life-changing. And it's the 10th anniversary of a center in Spain run by the Oblates of Divine Mercy that has been helping women break the bonds of prostitution. And FundingMorality.com is launched to help raise funds for those who've been discriminated against for adhering to their Judeo-Christian ethics. The Church in China. We'll take a look at the church in Macau and how it's growing despite the odds. I'm Ashley Nerona in Rome, Italy. You're watching Voice of the Vatican, only on Shalom World TV. Some tourists to Rome come for the incredible art and architecture, and some for its history. But more than that, Rome is a city of faith, where so many saints have walked before us. For more on this city of pilgrims, Voice of the Vatican spoke to Professor of Church History and Historical Theology, Jim Papandrea. He's the author of Rome, A Pilgrim's Guide to the Eternal City. And he told us more about Rome itself as a means to ecumenical dialogue.
If you haven't been to Rome yet, come to Rome and experience the church and its history firsthand. So you can come here and you can be on the site where Christian worship has taken place for almost 2,000 years and pray some of the same prayers that people have been praying in those places for hundreds or over 1,000 years.
Every year, Papandrea brings a group of students from the Garrett Evangelical Theological Seminary to Rome to explore the roots of Christianity.
My students are mostly Protestant and I'm Catholic, and so one of the things that I try to do is impress upon them that as we're here studying the early and medieval church sort of on site, as it were, that this is something that belongs to all Christians. It isn't just a Catholic thing. This is something that is the sort of roots and trunk of the family tree of Christianity. And so I really try to teach my students that this is something we share, and that when we explore early and medieval Christianity, we're exploring our shared heritage. The books that I write come from the viewpoint of the church fathers and the early church. And I think this is so important because this is the time in the church's history when the church was still one, in terms of being before the major schisms. And so I like to be able to explain the Christian faith to Catholics and Protestants from that perspective of going back to the time when the church had to define and clarify its doctrine and its own identity, really. And so one of the most recent books that I've written is from Catholic Answers Press. It's called Handed Down, The Catholic Faith of the Early Christians. And it's a book that's meant to explain the Catholic faith from that perspective to both Catholics and Protestants so that we can have a foundation for mutual dialogue, sort of building on that common ground. And the book ends with a chapter on things that we should all agree on as Catholics and Protestants, and or as Christians in general, and using that as kind of a springboard for further dialogue.
Jim Papandrea is also a musician and songwriter, and you've been listening to his original composition, Every Knee Will Bend, from his Still Quiet Voice album.
Open up your heart to him, seek and you will find.